All right, here's our reference. So we are going to copy this interior design because I like its simplicity and minimalistic atmosphere. And also lighting looks pretty soft. So this is also the moments which I like. So I'm using this plugin called PureRef. It's actually free. You can download it, and if you paste your reference into this plugin, it will be on top. It's really convenient for modeling the process and for working with references. Okay, now I'm going to look at our scene that we are going to model. And first of all, we need to save our model into our folder. So I created this projects folder, and right here you can see folder with model with textures. Here's the file of our scene, and yeah, this is our reference. Great, so let's start. As usual, we are going to set up our Corona render as a render engine, and in the customize, I'm going to set up units, which is millimeters, and millimeters right here. Okay, great. Now let's start with modeling. So usually I start from creating the fundamentals, which is our floor, and its size will be 6 meters on 6 meters. I choose box as object type. Let's create form like this. And now I'm going to indicate right here 6000 millimeters on 6000 millimeters. And height is going to be around 100, which is 10 centimeters. Great. Now let's press F4 so we would be able to see our edges. And now let's create our walls, those ones. Okay, let's start with the box. There's two ways. We can create it with rectangle, and then we can let me show you this method. Press S to enable snap toggle. Here I created our walls rectangle, and let's convert it to editable spline. Press button 3, go lower, and use outline to make our walls wider or to indicate its length. So yep. Now I'm going to simply add the modifier, which is called extruder, and indicate here 4000 millimeters, which is 4 meters. This is the first way, but in this case we are going to use our box methods. So here I enable my snaps. Let's indicate our snaps somewhere in the middle, and here I think it's going to be around 200 millimeters. This is how thin our walls would be. Now let's snap our wall to the right side. Great. Now let's create a copy. Rotate it using button E to rotate, and A for snap our rotation to 90 degree. You can actually set your degrees right here. I use, as you can see, 5% degree. Okay, now let's rotate our wall. Let's move it higher and snap it to our wall right here. Yeah, so right now, if we want to enable snaps and move it following our objects, let's enable axis constraints, which placed right here. Click on snaps with right mouse and enable axis constraints right here. Now I can select my axis separately. Okay, now let's edit our box, convert it to editable poly, select our dots or vertices, and now I'm going to copy our wall right here. This side I will left open because right here I can see that there's window side and there's no shadows from the walls on the right side. Okay, now we can create our smaller wall right here. So select our vertices here, snap it to our wall in this side. Now we should indicate on the Y axis minus 700. So this is going to be the length of our wall. Now let's affect pivot only, align it to the center of our object, and let's create a copy like this. Now paste it right here. So snap it to our first side, indicate here 2700. Okay, now we got our walls, and let's create this shelves part. create a copy of our wall again, snap it to our right side. Now snap it to the left side. Here I can see those lines right here. So let's edit our wall a little bit more like this. This is actually our shelf. So let's create its back plate right here. And now just create a copy again, select our vertices, move it lower. Now snap our edges to this part right here, even smaller a little bit. So we got this kind of edge right here. Okay, its height is going to be 800. So let's snap it to our floor and move it higher with Z mode. Indicate 800 right here, and now we got our height of our shelves. Nice. Again, let's align our pivot with the center of the object, and now create our shelves right here, 1 and 2. Okay, create a copy, move our shelf. Let's make our shelf thinner, 1, 2, and 3. Or I think it's actually, yeah, it has this piece of shelf right here. Let's create our third part. Great, and now we got our wall modeled. Now let's take a look at our center wall. Here we got this kind of wooden wall panel. So let's actually edit it with this vertical element. I'm going to create our box right here, convert it to the editable poly. Let's select our vertices and snap it to our ceiling. Okay, now let's make it smaller a little bit. Great. Now let's snap it to our wall. Let's select Y-axis using F6 button as a hotkey. Let's snap it to our wall right here. It has 1, 2, 3 elements. So let's copy it. Great. And now let's add our ceiling. Simply take our floor and now let's copy it with the copy option. Snap it to our walls right here. And now we got our box of our scene modeled, which is pretty cool and pretty fast. Now let's move on. Now I need to add this layer to the ceiling. So let's rename our layer. You can actually create it right here and rename it by using right mouse. So let's call it ceiling. Let's name it. Okay, apply this object to our layer and hide it. Great. Now I would like to add our models into the scene. Actually, I found pretty similar one. It's not that exact, but it would match the vibe of our image. So let's paste it. To paste your models into the scene, you need to first add it to the models folder where your 3ds Max scene added. Now in the models folder, we need to name each object of the furniture. I do it for my convenience, so you can follow it too. And let's start paste our models. And actually, yeah, I didn't say why I do that, because in this case, our models didn't miss their textures, and you will apply your models into the scene without any issues. So let's add first our chair. This is Pierre Generate Chair, my favorite furniture designer. He's pretty popular and you probably seen some of his furniture pieces. This is actually my favorite chair, so it's called V-Type. And let's paste it into our scene. Simply drag and drop, click merge, and here we got our 3D model of our chair. But as you can see right here, it's actually needs to be raised in some way. But this actually happens because we created our floor not on the 0. So let's fix this issue. We need to move our floor to 0 on the Z-axis. So select our floor and paste here -100. Okay, let's also align our models and our scene with our floor. Select our Y-axis and move it lower with the snap. Here's the snap options which you may need to apply. Okay, now simply snap our chair right here. Press F6 to enable only Y-axis mode, and here I can see that our planks right here goes into our floor. Let's also like fix this and attach our details using editable poly mode. Now select our dots and paste it right here. Now select our chair, rotate it. Let's continue to paste other parts of our model. But first I would like to save our scene. Let's save it. And now right here I'm going to paste our sofa. This one, model, merge. I would like to select our soft pillow option right here. Let's delete this model on this side and simply paste sofa into our scene. Now let's align it a little bit, maybe somewhere around right here. Paste it a little bit this side, and our chair goes more into our angle. Okay, now let's import our table to delete those materials and simply paste our table right here. Let's turn it this way, paste it into our scene. Great. Now carpet. I would like to select the first one, paste it. Now let's take a look. Also right here we got our decor. Let's delete our carpet models, which we don't need. Right now let's paste our decor right here. Merge. And now second part right here. Now let's paste our lamp model. Let's select 2022 version, press merge right here. We got it. And now let's paste it to our scene. So first we need to place our lamp. Let's delete light right here. Now I would like to make it bigger or paste it somewhere on our table. Now the book with this decor part goes on our shelves. Let's open our group, copy our objects and also detach them from the group. Paste it on our shelf. Nice, like this. And our vase somewhere right here. Open the group, select this one. And because of these models are made in V-Ray, we need to apply our Corona render materials on it. So let's detach it from group. Now let's delete those models right here. Select our model, paste it into our scene, make it scale a bit bigger. Now press button E to rotate, place it, and the rest of the decor let's place on the table. Let's delete the glasses, close our group and move it somewhere right here. Nice. Now after we paste our models into the scene, now let's set up our camera. So to set up our camera, we need to press on plus, select camera, Corona camera, and yeah, actually we need to change our layer on the 0. Again, select Corona render and paste it into our scene. Now, important part, we need to select our camera target and paste it on the 0 level. Now we need to select our camera and also paste it into level 0. Now in the perspective mode, I would like to press button C. This way we can select our camera, but we can't see anything in the scene because our camera is not set up. So we need to go to the render setup, press right here, and now let's select our frame. So we need to go to the scene and right here in our folder, I can take a look at our reference and its proportions. Let's take a look at the details. Now let's duplicate our proportions. Let's select custom mode. It's going to be width 1100 and height 1400. Now press lock right here and select our perspective. And view to render, we need to also lock. Press lock right here. Press Shift plus F shortcut. This is how we got our frame in the camera. And now move closer to our scene. Great. Now we almost got our scene set up. And it actually looks pretty cool. Now I would like to extend our field of view. So let's indicate here, I think around 50 or 55. Yeah, actually let's indicate 60, somewhere around here. Move it right here. Now let's select our carpet to match our reference. think somewhere around right here. And now let's enable our ceiling. So now our scene is actually ready to be set with the lighting. But first, I would like to note important moment that after we finish our modeling stage, we have to go to the perspective, and for optimization our scene, we need to select each layer for each object in our scene. So as you can see right here, we moved our geometry lower, but our ceiling stays on its place. So let's fix this. Let's select Z axis, move it lower. Now we got our ceiling set up. Now create new layer, select our walls. Layer 1, let's rename on walls or architecture layer. Click OK. Now attach this wall to this layer, and when it's hidden, let's select the rest of our walls. Enable right here, and right here. Great. Now let's create new layer. It's going to be floor. Yeah, apply our floor to this layer, hide it. Apply our wall to the arc layer, and now let's hide our floor. Here let's add again our layer, which we will call furniture. Click OK. Select our furniture and apply to this layer, hide it, and this one. And the last layer will be decor. Click OK and rename it as decor. Okay. Now let's enable our geometry, hide our ceiling, save our scene, because saving is also really important. And this is also as my habit to save scene after each stage. It's working on automatic already. So yeah, now let's move to the lightning stage. Well, lightning is actually my favorite one because this is how our scene comes to life. Open our material editor, materials Corona. I use Corona legacy material, and this is going to be our base material right here. Now go to render setup, scene, material override, and apply this material to our material override. Click instance and OK. Now let's create our map, Corona sky. This is going to be our ambient scene light. Right now we have to set up our ambient light. So create Corona sky. Here I would like to set up my Corona sky map. Usually I use turbidity at 1.7 and create map general color correction. To set up our light in the scene, select color correction and indicate saturation on -100. In this case, our sky will be gray colored. Now let's apply our sky as scene environment, single map, and right here paste our Corona sky. Great. Now we got our light set up. So let's enable our Corona viewport, open our frame buffer and start interactive. Right here we got our scene. It's too bright because we got our ceiling turned off. Let's turn on our ceiling, and in the render settings we need to set up our performance, which is right here. Denoising during render, I would like to turn it off, so there would be none. Okay, now I think after one click we already have some results, which looks pretty cool. And right here I can see those shadows, looks pretty fine. And you know what? I think that we need to add the sunlight. So yeah, here we got those directed shadows, which looks pretty cool. Now let's add it. Go to our light, Corona sun. Let's add it from this side and move it higher. Now let's take a look at our frame buffer. Now it's too bright, but we got our sunlight directed. Let's move to the side view and move our sun this way, so we would have those shadows right here. And it's so strong and it's almost ruining our image, but we are going to fix this, don't worry. So right here, let's enable our reference on top, and our sun needs to be set up. Move it even lower. Let's left it as it is right here. Go to options, modify, and in the direct input, select the white color a little bit, turn it to yellow, press OK. And in the intensity, I would like to turn it off. Now I would like to add by 0.1%. Here's our 0.1 intensity. Right here we got our shadow pretty crushed. So actually it's not so detailed. We need more blur to blur our sun. Indicate here 10. In this case, shadow will appear less detailed and smoother, as you can see right here. Actually, we can make it even larger. Nice. And now let's manipulate our Corona sky and sun to match the lightning in our scene with our reference. Well, I would like to stop our preview, enable light mix, click generate, run our preview again. Let's turn off our source of the light, enable Corona sky. Let's make it darker and our sunlight brighter like this. Actually, it already looks pretty fine. But right here, I can see that our shadows placed somewhere around here, and here we don't have any shadows. So there are two ways. Actually, I think that in this case, we can convert our ceiling to editable poly, selection rectangle, and move it right here. Same goes with our walls. Let's align it with our ceiling, convert to edit poly. It's too much. So I think we need to add some kind of wall at the top right here. Let's create a copy of our wall, rotate it with snap. Okay, create our wall part right here. And now let's take a look. Well, I think in this case, our render already looks more similar, but right here we got this shadow and there's no shadow right here. So let's place our sunlight somewhere else so we would be able to see those results. Now I think I understand. Now let's try another method on how to make those kind of shadows right here. So we need to move our ceiling even more right here, and to copy this kind of shadows we need to apply, I think it's going to be walls, more like columns. So let's convert our box to editable poly, align it with our ceiling, and let's now apply alignment for our pivot right here. Let's move our sun and now our columns. Now move our sun lower. And actually I think we already did a pretty good job with the lighting, so we actually almost matched it, but let's find out how to match those columns parts right here. This one placed right here. What if we are going to paste it closer into our scene? Same goes with this part right here. Let's align it with our previous wall element, move it right here. Now let's select Corona Sun and indicate its size on 10. What about a 5? And actually I really like the result. Yeah. Now also I would like to adjust my sunlight a little bit. Too much the reference lighting. Maybe let's adjust the position of our chair and now our wall elements. Okay, again select sun, indicate here 8, and I would like to rotate it even more. Okay, now let's adjust the brightness for our scene. And here's a little moment right here. You can see that we repeat this sunlight on the edge, which looks pretty cool. Yeah, really like it. Now I would like to adjust the position for our objects in our scene to make it look more maybe harmonious. I usually move my objects a little bit higher from the floor, so there would be those shadow gaps to actually place our objects and give them the feeling of presence in the scene. Same goes, it's too much. I think 5 millimeters would be even smaller. 2 millimeters would be fine. Now let's find out what we should do with this kind of table lamp. I think maybe we can figure it out how to make it a scene accent to match the vibe of our render. What if we placed somewhere around right here? Actually, I like this element on this size because right here it looks a little bit empty, and let's move our decor somewhere right here. Again, when we place something on our table, we need to add a little bit of gaps right here. Okay, closer to the sofa. Well, right now let's save our scene. Let's take a look at our light. I actually think it looks pretty good, and if something wouldn't work, we can adjust it on the next stage. So yeah, but first I would like to edit one small element, which is this wall right here. Let's snap it to our walls, align it so it looks pretty. And now let's start interactive. Yeah, now I like the light and results. Maybe adjust our sky a little bit. Now let's move to the materials. Save our scene and let's start with texturing. Here I break down our geometry on areas where you can see the order in which we will texture our scene. So first I would like to start from the ceiling and floor. Next, let's move to the walls and then on these wooden panels right here. Okay, so first I would like to go to the base material editor. Now right here I've got my ready-made materials. This is my library of material that helps me to set up my materials in a couple of seconds. So yeah, actually you can check this out on my Patreon store, link in the description. Yeah, this is actually the library that I'm using every day in my projects. And now I would like to create a new view and let's place our first material, which is going to be plaster or concrete. Go to plaster, Corona Legacy Material Concrete 01. Let's paste it into our scene. And here we got already my material set it up. Now let's apply this material into our ceiling. Select our ceiling, this material, and click apply. Same goes for our walls and ceiling. Let's select every similar element right here and click apply. Same goes for all of the walls. Okay, now let's open our frame buffer and run our interactive. Right here we still got gray render material. So let's go to render setup, go to scene and uncheck this box right here. Here's the textures for our scene. It looks pretty pale. So yeah, now let's fix this material from the V-Ray, Corona Legacy, and apply it on our vase right here. Okay, now let's take a look at our reference and let's start to set it up. First, we need to apply UVW map on each object so we can scale our texture the right way. UVW map box, and usually I indicate 2000 on 2000. Let's press pause on our render, hide our ceiling, and I would like to save. Now right here I would like to attach all of my geometry, then these walls right here, and now again apply UVW map box and same parameters right here. This is how we got our textures set up the right way. Now select our floor and also indicate UVW map. Great. For this wall I would like to apply my wooden puck right here. Let's drag and drop it into our material, and now let's apply this material to our wall right here and right here. Go to select this wall, go to UVW map box, and yeah, it looks not the right size for our texture. In this case we will simply move it higher. Let's scale it the right size. This yellow box indicates us the size of our texture. Now I would like to enable same for these planks right here. Let's copy this height right here and this size for our planks. Okay, now our chair. Let's select the materials, copy the materials, create new view right here, and here we already got like set it up material, so I would like just simply edit to match the color for our chair. Let's run our Corona frame buffer ceiling, and here I can see that this part that I've added right here is wrong, so we can simply select this wall right here. Here I select editable poly, this wall, and move it this way. And the chair, maybe let's move it a little bit closer to our chair. Yeah, I think this looks pretty similar. Now let's set up material of our chair. Take this pipe right here and copy our material from our chair. Let's wait a little bit. And right here we got our material. So this is how it looks on render. Let's turn on frame buffer. I think it's already pretty similar. So it's a little bit brighter right here because of the sunlight direction. But for now, I think it looks pretty fine. Let's move to our wall panel from the left. Select pipe. Select our panel right here. And now let's edit the color correction. Enable frame buffer. I'm actually zooming this reference right here, so I would be able to match this color for our texture. Now let's make it lower. I think it's more to the right side, not this, but -2, I think. -3, 0.8 on the gamma contrast. This is, I'm setting up right here, color correction. And now I think we match pretty accurate our color, maybe a little bit less saturated on 20, or even 25. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Now let's move to our walls right here. Let's take material from the walls, copy it, enable our frame buffer, and I think we have to increase the brightness of our scene right here. And you know what? Actually, I would like to set up our post to match our color correction even properly. So let's press plus right here and select LUT, enable. Right here I would like to select grunge. It makes our image instantly a little bit darker but more aesthetic. And now I would like to also edit the advanced filmic mapping right here. Curve control filmic mapping, decrease amount opacity of our grunge control and increase a little bit highlights compression to match the reference right here. Okay, and now let's edit our concrete material. It actually has a lot of bump and displacement. I would like to simply turn it off from our material. Now let's make our material brighter. I can select this composite material right here and apply maps general color correction to the diffuse color, and it allows us to match our color more properly. Let's make it more to the red side. I think -5, -7 would fit. Now let's make it brighter. Go to advanced and select 1.2. I think this is how we got our material looks more accurate to our reference. Let's try even more, 0.4 and a little bit less saturated, -10, -40. I think now it looks pretty fine. Well, actually I already like the result. Let's continue to set up our scene. Here, let's edit our sofa material. Let's copy it, select pipe, press on our sofa. And here's the fabric material, which we need to tweak. Go to frame buffer. It actually has those brown pillows, but I would like to make it also color that matches our concrete. So let's edit it. Color correction, we need to adjust the contrast and gamma. Let's make it 2 right here, even brighter. And actually I would like to mix my color with, I think, some kind of brown or with this pastel color. So we can actually use next method. This is going to be our first color, and right here we can delete this material right here, maps, general or corona color. Solid color, select this one, click pipe and press on our parts of the sofa right here. Now make it brighter and put it on the mix color 2 right here. Now let's edit the color for our sofa. Let's make it brighter, much more. I think like this would be enough. Here's with this color and without. We can make it even more brighter. Now I think it matches our interior even more. Right here we got this strange metal, which is, I think, some kind of like metal panel. So it's a mirror actually. We don't need a mirror right here. So let's select our material from the library and let's place it as our metal gray. Delete this one. Place our material right here. Yeah, there's not so much roughness and reflection glossiness. So now let's adjust the map size right here. Let's click on 1 and 1 right here. Yeah, now it looks more accurate. And right here, let's add more reflection and glossiness. Not so much. Let's make it 0.4 or 45, I think. Yeah, now it looks pretty. And actually right here, the bottom side, it also needs to be adjusted. Yeah, so select this bottom side right here. Now I got it. This is actually our metal element. Let's simply make it a little bit brighter. We can adjust its color in the reflection segment right here. Okay, now I really like the result for the table right here. I think this material actually looks pretty fine. So we can maybe tweak a little bit its position. Let's save our scene and rotate it a little bit. Open Corona frame buffer. Okay, this kind of position I like most. Now I would like to adjust the position of our sun to create this side without shadow as it is right here. Let's adjust a little bit the scale of our table to match this more properly. And let's move this part right here. Okay, disable. Now I think it looks pretty good, but we need to decrease a little bit the brightness for our image and the color for our carpets right here. Let's lay out all objects to organize it. Take pipe, copy material from our carpet. Right here to the fill of, I would like to add map general color correction. Yeah, it sometimes happens when you add color correction during the render. Now let's set up the color according to our reference. Let's desaturate it and make it darker, like 0.7. And also I think let's turn off the displacement to make it more smoother as per reference. And also I would like to decrease the amount of bump on our carpet right here. So go to the material parameters and right here or 0.2. And this is how we got our image. Now I would like to set up the material for our decor right here. This book looks too small. So yeah, let's edit its size. Maybe we can fake it a little bit. So actually make it more wider and longer, but without scaling. So our geometry doesn't intersect the wall. And this element right here, we can simply make it bronze and bigger even more, but like this, to not intersect the wall. Now let's take a look at our reference. I think it's bronze. So metal, bronze or brass right here. Copy it into our scene, apply to our decor. Now let's take a look. Yeah, looks pretty cool. And our vase right here, I think we can left it as a gray render. It plays not too close to our render. So our mission as 3D visualizers is to usually, fake a little bit the space so it will feel more alive. And let's take a look at our lamp. I think it's already set up and material looks pretty fine. So yeah, that's it. And I think we did a pretty good job. Let's compare our reference and render. We can take a screenshot from our render right here and paste it on this side. And I think it looks good, like really good. Take a look at the shadows, at the surfaces, at the vibe of the whole image. I think it looks pretty cool, right? Now we have to render our image. So let's press pause on our interactive, go to render setup. Now select right here noise limits. Usually I set it on 4. Denoising, I use Corona high quality, this amount, and we actually set up. We are ready to render our image. We'll save our scene and let's turn off all the options right here. So it wouldn't take a lot more time to render. Now click render. And now after our image is rendered, let's save it. And as promised in the beginning, here's my secret tip. After rendering, I usually enhance my renders using AI. Open Project Dream, select Creative Upscaler. The most interesting part that this is an ultimate tool for artist artists, because right here you have almost every upscale tools that you would need. Now let's take a look. I select Magnific Precision mode. Now here's the result. Let's save it as PNG file. Click Save. And actually, if you want to test it by yourself, I've got special for you discount for -20% if you're using middle or pro plan. This is the plans that I've been using myself, and I think it's pretty cool bonus to try it out with the discount. Actually, you can find it in the description. So yeah, here's our final image. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. By the way, actually I'm running 5-week intensive course called Premium School Intensive. And if you would like to join, you can check the link in the description. Because if you want not only beautiful portfolio, a guidance on how to find your clients, how to manage your ArcWiz projects, feel free to fill out the form on the website and see you on the next lesson. Thanks for watching and